Welcome to Home and Away, a Tottenham Hotspur podcast hosted by myself, Graham Spice, and Glen Cowie, where we discuss all things Tottenham Hotspur with both a match attending and international supporters view. This week's episode will review the Newcastle and Chelsea matches from last week, preview the Copenhagen Champions League match and the Man United match from next weekend. And we'll be joined by guest Tom Mullin, who's the chair of the Boston official Spurs supporters. A lot to get through, so let's get into it.
Let me be the one that you turn to, someone you can rely on, closer each day, home and away.
Glenn, how are you?
Good, mate, as we tend to do, other than the weather not cooperating for a bank holiday Tuesday here in Melbourne. It's cold and rainy, but, you know, it's a bank holiday, so I'll take not working. But yeah, I'm good, other than Tottenham disappointing me the last week of disappointment. I guess the plus side for me, I didn't get up to Alex's point, who you went with, who we've had on. I think he said, I hope you didn't get up at 5 a.m. to watch that, which I did not.
Yeah,
so I put
it
it
bad
on
enough going in the Saturday evening.
Yeah,
we'll come on to that.
We'll come on to that in a minute.
While, for sure.
Without further ado, we've got, as you mentioned in the intro, we've got Tom joining us from Boston. Welcome, Tom. Thanks for joining, mate.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely, mate. So let's get into it. You obviously support Spurs. You're based in Boston. I'm keen to understand a few things like the Boston Spurs viewing experience being only 5 hours behind the UK, but then also going back for you, Tom. How'd you get into supporting Spurs? Like, Graeme and I always wonder, why the hell would anyone pick Spurs? So did you pick them? Did they pick you? Were you given a choice? Like, what's your story on why you support them?
I mean, kind of half and half, but I like to say that I picked them. There was one summer where me and all my high school friends decided to get into the Premier League. So we all just picked a club. One of my best friends had been supporting Spurs since 2006. And then I also kind of gravitated towards them because it was like pre-2004 Red Sox. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Major League Baseball, but basically, similar situation, lots of heartbreak, getting close, never really getting over the hump. So I was like, all right, I'm used to that kind of, level of heartache. And
was that would that have been Martin Jol?
Yeah,
manager around that time.
About that time, 06 would have been about Martin Jol's era, I think. Yeah.
So yeah, my first full season supporting Spurs was 2012-2013. It's been, I'll say, great ever since.
Have you been fortunate enough to get over to either the old White Hart Lane or the current new stadium, Tom? Like, have you got any memories from seeing a game there? Or?
Yes and yes. First match was 2017, 3-0 over United.
Yeah. That
was
Lamella?
Dele.
Did Lamella score in that? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was Dele, Toby, and Lamella.
Yeah, that was quite a team. How it didn't win anything is beyond me. So that was the old stadium. So did you go with others from the Boston Spurs group, or how did that play out?
Yeah, we did. It centered around me and my two friends. One of them, the best friend from high school, supported Spurs, just wanting to go on like a 3-week Euro trip. But yeah, we kind of anchored it off of this match. Boston Spurs, at least once a year, goes over for a big group trip. This upcoming April will be for the Brighton match. But yeah, so we kind of tagged along with Boston Spurs. At that point, I was like 5 years into being a Boston Spurs member, but still kind of like fringy. Didn't really know too many people yet. So I thought, let's fly 3,000 miles to get to know some people. And yeah, it was an awesome trip, awesome result. I love the old White Hart Lane, but I also love the new stadium. I've been to that one like 4 times now.
Yeah, okay. On the age and the old White Hart Lane, you made a mention there. Like, when were the Red Sox founded? Because there's probably a similar age there, right, with the two clubs. In terms of Spurs are 1882. When were the Red Sox founded? Because baseball's a very, very old sport, of course.
Yeah, I think they went by a different name, but like 1903.
Yeah, okay. So a similar-ish era. So you can probably draw a little bit on the history, and you touched on it. And to answer your question, do I know baseball? Look, I'm a Cardinals fan by virtue of my father-in-law being a Cardinals fan. I've been to a few games, but there are some odd parallels with football and baseball in terms of, like, when you look at certain teams who haven't won anything for years, and then the age of the sport as well. So that completely, absolutely resonates. And then, Tom, talk to me about your viewing experience in Boston? Because obviously we've only been 5 hours behind. I was in Denver for 12 years. We used to get the lunchtime game in England was 5:30 in the morning, and then 8 a.m., 10:30 a.m., and then lunchtime for the night games. So you're a few hours ahead of that. So do you meet at a pub, or how does that usually play out for you guys? Or are you more of a homebody fan like I am now with the time difference? Or how do you usually enjoy a game in Boston?
Yeah, I mean, the earliest kickoffs that we have to deal with is 7:30 a.m., and that's really not
too
that
bad.
bad.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, we do have our home pub. It's in Medford, Massachusetts, which is like 5-10 minutes north of Boston. It's called Long Cross. We've been meeting there for 3 years. We've kind of hopped around a little bit before that, dealing with, bars closing and COVID and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But we usually get a pretty good crowd. For this weekend's match, we had 150.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Good.
And, for the Europa League final, we were like 375.
Wow. Yeah.
Definitely went over fire code capacity, so don't tell Medford Fire Department.
Don't let the fire department know. Great stuff.
Yeah. We have kind of like, I think one of the bigger supporters club followings, amongst all Premier League teams in Boston, but also amongst Spurs across the U.S. So we always get a pretty good crowd. And I'm usually at the bar unless it's a midweek right now.
Yeah. Yeah, good stuff. Well, speaking of this weekend, which we'll get to in a minute, Graeme, let's start maybe at the Newcastle game. I incorrectly said we'd win, but what came to pass?
That is that optimism.
I know.
You'd think you'd have learned by now.
Yeah. What came to pass was exactly what Stephen had said. They were stronger, they were quicker, they were everything that we weren't really in that game. A hugely disappointing performance. Some fans are chalking it up to being, it's not that important, it's only the League Cup. I see it the other way. I think that's a cup that we should always be trying to win. But what did you make of it, Graeme? Did you watch it live, mate? Was it on Prime in the UK?
No, it wasn't. It was on ITV, believe it or not. Yeah,
that's a throwback.
I know. I was shocked as well.
Did Rod Atkinson burp? I still remember his co-commentary of a game on ITV when he burped.
No. It was again, we didn't really string much together. I wasn't really sure about the team we put out, how we tried to play. And then we were undone by 2 set pieces, which we've not been too bad at most of the season, but it didn't seem to work out.
Well, I didn't really understand what Kingsky was doing for one of them. I mean, that was just incredibly, incredibly poor goalkeeping.
The other thing, that stupid Jed Spence, his boot came off, and then spending about 5 minutes unlacing it and relacing it, and then being totally out of position when the corner was taken, was basically, it just threw everyone out, I think. I mean, I'm not saying he was supposed to be the mark in the go who scored, but we were certainly a man down because he was completely taken out of the game by it. And I feel like it was his fault, his own fault. I just see no reason for it. It just seemed to be trying to waste time, which was a bit of an odd thing, really. But anyway.
We just struggled to create anything like of note. And it was almost like a complete bleed over of the Everton game. And as I said, after we recorded after the Everton game, like bizarrely as it sounds, we just never looked like scoring, but we won 3-0. It was the same again. We just didn't look like creating anything. And it's just a huge problem.
I think that the double pivot works better in those away games, but we still don't look like, we never progress the ball up the pitch. Even if we don't counter quickly, all of our attacking build-up is way too slow and lethargic, and we never get the ball in dangerous areas, and we never take chances. When we get onto the Chelsea game, that's another rant to start with. But I just was. I mean, we did in about the last 20 minutes with a few substitutes on. We did seem to string a few more chances together, but it was too little, too late by that stage. I think that Newcastle were a pretty solid team, and to give them a 2-goal head start, you're kind of onto a loser there, aren't you? Really?
Yeah. Tom, how do you see it, mate? Did you go to the pub, or it would have been 3 p.m. for you kickoff?
If you didn't, you probably wanted to after it.
No, I didn't get to the bar for this one. But yeah, I think that Spence boot situation kind of summed up the entire match, because like as soon as he put it on and was good to go, they took the corner. Like they were ready. They wanted it more. And yeah, he kind of just got caught up looking stupid.
Yeah. And then he looks to blame everyone else except himself, which is a trait that I've noticed with him. And also, we'll come on to that when the thing at the end of the Chelsea match. I think he has an attitude, and I'm a bit worried about that.
Yeah.
He's a good player.
Ironically, he's actually been way better on the left in terms of his preferred position. We all were dead to believe he's a right-sided, either wing-back or right-back. And he's not getting in that England team as a right-sided player. So if he wants to get to the World Cup, he needs to improve, because he had a really good start to the season, didn't he? Wasn't there some crazy stat that he had the least dribbles passed in the opening few games? So yeah, there's a player in there, but clearly.
But then with Udogie back, does he start?
Well, this is it. And to your point, Graham, and we'll get to the Chelsea game in more detail, but is there an attitude thing there? Didn't go all the way back to Conte, or was it Ange? He wasn't being picked, was he? And he wasn't anywhere near the team, and it was said that it was an attitude thing with him.
It was bought when Conte was here, wasn't he? Because that was he's a club signing interview that Conte gave. So he's really struggled to get into the team. Like, he's been out on loan twice at least, and he's come back. And by last season, almost by accident, because of all the injuries, he got to play regularly, and he played himself into a first team squad rightly. And I know even last season I would have championed him for England and call up, and eventually got it this season. So he's definitely a player in there.
Tom, I'll get your view as well, but if we take those mistakes and the boot issue and everything that went wrong, the Kinski issue out of that game, I still don't think we beat Newcastle on the way we played, on what we just didn't create, right? We just weren't going to score. Tom, I guess, Tom, let me get your view, mate. In terms of how we're setting up, the players that he's got at his disposal, would you have done much different in the Newcastle game as a tough away cup game? Could we have done more in your view, or others that you've spoken to around the Boston Spurs?
I mean, it's a good question. In the moment, probably not. I don't know what the training looks like. I don't know what, other overall match tactics they're kind of practicing. But it's really the same thing in and out every match now, just not being able to pass through the middle.
Yeah. No through balls.
Yeah, none to, and that's not the beautiful football that we are kind of hoping for, or at least got flashes of under Ange. So specifically against Newcastle, I don't think there's probably anything that we could have tried differently, just because I don't think they're set up for it.
It's also worth mentioning that Newcastle made 7 changes, right? So that was not their first choice team either. And I don't think they look comfortable. Even the people that came in, they all knew their job. They were cohesive as a team. So that's the thing that worries me, I think, more than anything, is I'm not sure that I can't believe that they're not playing the way that they're being asked to play, positional, what they're being asked to do. I think they're doing what they're being asked to do. I mean, maybe they're making some mistakes. You can't legislate for poor passing, of which there's been a lot in the last 2 or 3 games. And I sometimes think that some of the attacking players are too close to their markers. They're not losing their markers. So whenever the people are trying to play a ball, everyone's marked. And so the balls are a lot more risky, obviously. But I don't know. It's just not, whatever he's trying to do, it isn't working.
But do you attribute that to, well, I guess a couple of things for me, and I've been thinking about this since obviously the Newcastle game and then now the Chelsea game. Was this inevitable in terms of a bit of a drop-off and in terms of poor performances and a patch of poor form? Was this inevitable, given that we binned off a manager who, for whatever anyone wants to say, had a good thing going in the context of he had a group of players there that had won a competition, first time in 17 years, and then first European Cup in however many, 41 years. Not suggesting that maybe there should have been a objective call there on the position in the league. I get all of that. I'm not saying that I want him back or we need to fire Frank. Don't get me wrong on this. But where I'm going with this, was this inevitable? There was always going to be that slight drop-off because it's a new manager with new ideas, with a degree of some new players in there, and maybe players being asked to do a job that they weren't being asked to do last season or the season before that. Is there an air of inevitability with this? Graham, what's your view on that?
I'm not sure. All I would say is the back 5, including the keeper, is the same as last season.
Yeah.
Except they're not as exposed as they were last season. in terms of we're not playing at such a high line.
Yeah.
We're not overcommitting the fullbacks forward as much. So in theory, it should be an easier game for them. They should be more comfortable.
Yeah.
And we're still making silly mistakes. We're still playing ourselves into trouble, passing the ball around at the back, all things that we did last season. And even when we've got the right players playing, I still think that that's an issue.
We've missed Romero. We have missed Romero.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, his ball's over the top.
But the irony, he's the most creative player we've got.
Yeah,
in terms of picking out a pass.
Yeah,
which is a bit sad, really, isn't it? When you're
but then
pinning all your hopes on a centre back.
The way he was utilised at Chelsea when he came on, he was just put on as an auxiliary forward in many regards.
Yeah,
that's where he was operating.
But then we've absolutely missed buying a left-sided winger to replace Son. We have players, but there's nobody there that you could say would be a first team player at another Premier League club. I don't think.
I just finished the Sunderland Everton game, and he wasn't outstanding or amazing by any regard, but there were a few little things he did. And this Jack Grealish, we go back to it again, Graham. Like, it just made too much sense, didn't it?
Yeah. But then I think Kudus has looked good, but now he's injured as well. So
I saw your message. Apparently he's out of training anyway.
And Spence, so maybe that he should have just left the boot off and not come back on at all.
Yeah.
So, and then of course Bergvall. So 3 more on top of the 11 that we had before. I don't know if any of the others are going to be back, but we're very, very short on defenders again, aren't we? So we'll basically have Udogie, assuming he's fully fit. Van der Ven, Romero, Porro will probably be the back 4, I'm guessing, for tomorrow. There's not a lot of choice really, apart from Danso could play, I guess.
I've seen Tom resituating and nodding away there, and Tom's been very gracious with his time. He's going to be commuting somewhere in a moment, so feel free, Tom, because we can always edit anything that comes across a bit odd. But you're nodding away there. Do you have anything to add to some of those points?
We've lost your audio, Tom.
We've lost your audio, mate, if you can hear us.
No.
Can't hear you. Try again. Unmute yourself. I think try again.
Yeah, sorry, I was unmuted.
That's better.
That's better. I think your hands may be covering the mic. You're good now.
Okay. Yeah. Well, so to answer your question, on the last note, I thought we weren't going to have to deal with all these injuries with Ange gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The hamstring butcher that he was.
The butcher of the hamstring, indeed. Yeah.
Isn't that weird, though? Because I would say that Frank's done much more rotation of players to try and avoid burning people out or putting people into the red zone, as they call it. But still, we're having the same problem, where all the same issues, it seems, as last season. In fact, if anything, right now, we've probably got more injuries than we had at our worst point last season.
Yeah, we actually do. And this is a nice segue, I think, into the Chelsea review. And if we need to come back to anything on the Newcastle game, we certainly can. But I'm not for one moment suggesting this as an excuse of why we lost the game. But one thing I'll say is weird things happen when we play Chelsea. Shit goes wrong. And lo and behold, 6 minutes into the contest, Bergvall gets hit by a football and then is wobbly on his feet and is clearly concussed. And in my mind, the right call was made. For my money, I was watching quite intently the doctor asking him the questions. And for me, he didn't seem to be able to answer them correctly. So it was the right call.
You couldn't follow his finger.
Yeah, he couldn't do the finger follow. Yeah, so I was like, he had to come off. But it's like we still had 90 minutes to correct that in terms of the problem of losing him and the potential unbalancing us, whatever.
But we did bring a £60 million player on to replace him.
And we'll get to that. But it's just so frustrating. It's like, obviously, he's built up all week to this. And I really liked what he picked. Like, I liked the energy that Sarr and Bergvall would bring into that midfield. They're runners. I think Bergvall's an excellent number 8. Like, he'll come get the ball. He'll arrive late. He's good in the air. He's a very well-rounded midfielder. And we lose him after 6 minutes. It's so fucking typical of that fixture for that to happen. But you were there, Graham. Like, do you feel that happened, then we played a full 97 minutes, so we had 90 minutes, and we just never, ever seemed to recover, really? Like, we didn't figure it out. Like, it just... And, again, I'm very cautious on my criticism of Frank, because it's only, 10 games in or whatever in the league. But he looks busy. on the sideline, and he looked busy in that game. But I was like, nothing really changed. But you were there. What was your...
And also, he didn't make, apart from the enforced one on 6 minutes, he didn't make another change till 60 minutes. And it was clear for me, clear for everyone else in there with eyes, and even people who didn't have eyes were probably being told by their neighbours. It just wasn't working. Chelsea, basically, we made it look easy for them. I didn't think Chelsea were very good.
I didn't
But they'd still had more than enough for us. I mean, to be honest, the main difference was Caicedo basically just ran midfield for them, and
well, they were missing
awful match.
They, of course, they didn't have a recognised proper striker really, and they were missing Delap because he'd been sent off, and they have injuries there. They don't have any Cole Palmer. They weren't great, but we just never laid a glove.
No, I mean, you've seen all the stats. Ridiculously low XG. I don't really even understand XG. I'm too old for that. But the fact that it was a 0.0 number and it's the lowest we've ever had, I think.
I think XG can be rolled out subjectively a lot. And I'm like, I'd like to see the XG from the Everton game because we won 3-0 and the XG probably weren't much higher.
No, agreed.
You know what I mean? So, Tom, conscious you're on the road, did you watch the Chelsea game at the pub, or like, do you have any high-level views to counter ours?
I think, and sorry if my audio sucks now, but one theme still kind of lingers is that we don't instill fear in any other club.
We're struggling to hear you again. I don't know if your hand will...
Is this better?
Way better.
Got it.
So maybe just repeat that. That's way better. Are you driving or are you in an Uber?
Oh, I'm driving.
Okay, just drive safely.
Well, yeah, we'll do. Always do.
We can hear you. We can hear you much better now. Yeah.
Okay. Well, sorry. The point that I was muting myself on was that we don't instill fear in, opposing clubs. I don't think, for a second that Chelsea or Newcastle thought that the match was ours. And I don't know how we fixed that, but I think it's been evident for a lot of matches. Sometimes we score, sometimes we don't, but nobody's afraid to play us.
It's true. Like, we do seem to have a bit of that soft underbelly again. And we're becoming Spursy again, Graeme. In terms of, didn't we get rid of that?
Yeah.
It's...
there's a real issue in the stadium as well. I mean...
Well, we touched on it last week, didn't we? So I'm keen to hear more on this.
And so I think I said that, I was thinking that maybe the issue isn't tourists themselves, because ultimately people are only buying the tickets that are available to them, right? So we can't blame international supporters, we can't blame tourists, can't blame, day trippers, because ultimately for them to buy a ticket, it's pretty much a season ticket holder that sold it. And that was played out by my experience on Saturday, and I sat in my regular seat with Alex next to me, and not a single person within 3 rows in any direction was the regular season ticket holder on a game a Chelsea match on a Saturday. And it wasn't like an 8 p.m. kickoff or anything. It was 5:30. It wasn't normal, but it wasn't terrible. Not a single person in that area, and I don't understand. And that's where the atmosphere disappears to. There's no one. It's just completely different people every week. It's like going to the theatre more than going to a football match with season ticket holders, and that's why there's no consistency with the atmosphere. And people are rightly, if you've been to every home game this season, you've seen a lot of shit football and some really poor results, and people are starting to have gutful of it.
Yeah,
and I think that they deserve to know how bad that was on Saturday. At the end of the match.
Well,
I know some people might be against booing, but it was bad, really bad.
Particularly bad given the opponent as well, right?
Yeah, if nothing else, if you don't turn up and at least fight for it in a match like that, then that's just not acceptable.
It's really interesting, quite timely, because I listened to the podcast, The Spurs Show, before that game, so they were previewing that particular game. And I've names escaping me of the guest, but he's a pretty regular contributor on there. But his whole mantra and story was around the game that we lost 4-1, where you took my client, Graeme, a couple of years ago. It was like the goals disallowed, red cards, injuries. But he said his whole mantra was, we continued to have a go. Like, we just kept going. Like, I would have taken 10% of that for Saturday, what I witnessed.
We just did. It just felt like we never turned up.
Yeah,
that correct. we didn't have a plan for how to play against Chelsea. So I don't know. I know that maybe one of the issues is the amount of time between matches at the moment means that he's not getting a lot of time on the training pitch. And because he tends to coach to play the opposition. So he doesn't like set up one way like Ange and you always play the same way. Because if you think about it, when you've got games every 2 or 3 days, that's quite easy because you only have to train one way. But if you're constantly changing it to try and suit the way that other teams play, which we are doing, then you don't have a lot of time to reinforce new ideas with the players. Maybe that's part of the problem in that and it's not going to change if we're going to be successful, it shouldn't change, right? We need to find a way of a pattern of play, or maybe he needs 80% of it fixed and he tweaks the 20% for specific matches. Because at the moment, it's just, we look like we could have played for 3 days on Saturday and not scored a goal. There was no way that I think we could have. I don't know. I've run out of things to say about it. It was really, really poor. Really poor.
We've now got, and we're getting to the preview of them in a little bit, but we've now got 2 really hard games. And yes, they're at home, but you've got a Man United team who haven't lost in 5 all of a sudden, and a Champions League game against Copenhagen. But before we get to that, you touched on it, the player that came on for Bergvall. This is maybe going to, I don't know, maybe fly in the face of a 60 million or 65 million pound signing. I feel a bit sorry for him. Like, I think he's being asked to do a job that is in his preferred position. I think he's being asked to do the job of a number 8. And Xavi Simons facing his own goal, trying to play little incorrect passes with the defenders is not where you want Xavi Simons. That's not where he's going to influence a game. And as was proven, right? It was a terrible fucking pass back to Van de Ven, and it resulted in them scoring. But again, I feel a bit sorry for him because if he's come on for Bergvall, and Bergvall, like I touched on earlier, for me is the complete number 8. Like, he's box to box in that position. Maybe it would have come to pass, they still win the game, but in that particular position, you'd back Bergvall to get us out of the shit. That's not Xavi Simons' game. Xavi Simons' game is operating across that front 3, preferably in the pocket as a number 10, influencing the game, being given the second balls. Is it where we miss Solanke so much, holding it up, involving a player like Xavi Simons? You said something quite funny to me, Graeme, that you're going to start naming him the new Brian Hill.
Yeah, this what worries me. It's like,
yeah,
is he just? I mean, he looks like he just gets bullied on the pitch.
He's not strong.
Look at that Chelsea midfield, right? And he just it just bounces off them, and even when he'll drop his shoulder and a lovely little turn, go around a player, but then he'll just get taken out by the next one. I do worry, and you're right. If you want with all the injuries and generally how poor things are at the moment, it does feel like it's not a great way to introduce him into a
correct
team. And I'm not blaming him, but we do need to start to see something more from him, and maybe that means that Frank has to change the way we play a little bit.
I absolutely think he
maybe with someone like Bergvall behind him. I mean, we talked about the double pivot, right, where I think we've been playing with 2 fairly deep-sitting defensive midfielders. Bentancur's not exactly been getting up the pitch very much or driving forward with the ball. Mostly it's been fairly tidy, short-range passing, and he's not picking. There's no sort of picking out a player at any distance. So we're just not making progress up the pitch. And I think we really struggled to get out of our own half for most of the Chelsea game. I think we had, was it 5 shots, 1 on target in the whole match?
Yeah, I mean, it was pitiful.
And that was almost like a back pass to the keeper.
Tom, the man on the move there, we can't see you, but we should be able to hear you. Any view on the Xavi Simons comments? Like, a lot of money shelled out for him. We've lost Tom.
Okay, well,
that's his view on Xavi Simons, Graeme.
Yeah, the phone down. He's back.
I'm back. Sorry.
That's
it
okay.
had me reconnect, even though I could still hear you guys.
Not at all. No worries. We just thought
you'd slammed the phone down in disgust at Xavi Simons.
Yeah, when I asked a question about Xavi Simons, it was like, no, don't want to discuss that. You have a view on a lot of money shelled out for him, and he's not really delivered today.
No, I don't think it's necessarily one thing. I think it's a combination of a lot of different things, like, injuries and inconsistencies with the players around him and the competitions that he's being played for. I think, you watch some of his highlights, he's still a dynamic player. And I think, if we can get that link between, like, I don't know if it's Sarr, that needs to start more in favor of Bentancur to be able to connect Simmons to the center backs. But I think he's exactly what we need once he gets going. Hopefully, you kind of stop having those conversations about is he a waste of money.
Yeah, no, I agree. I definitely think that the way we're set up isn't really playing to his strengths at the moment.
Yeah, no.
And he's spending way too much time with his back to goal, looking for a pass from players who were 30, 40 yards back down the pitch from him. And he's never going to be the guy to receive the ball with his back to goal like that and like hold off a player, is he? He's just too slight for that.
Well, I feel that whether he was injured or not, I don't think he's greatly in favour at the moment. But the player I'm going to mention is Basuma, in a different well when Bergvall goes off injured. But Basuma,
where he turns up to training on time.
Well, if he get in training time and he sort his attitude out, Basuma probably would have been the ideal replacement in that, right? But the job you're asking Bergvall to do in that setup, if he goes out injured and Basuma's on the bench, he slots in and probably does a better job than Xavi Simmons did, right? In my view. So it is probably a product of what we've got available or more what we don't have available.
But weirdly, right, I think that Bentancur could play that role further up the pitch.
Well, he has, hasn't he?
Exactly, he's done that for us, and then play someone else like Sarr next to Palhinha, for instance.
Let's not forget Bentancur was instrumental in the winning goal in the Europa League final. He was the one that appeared in the box and shunted it out to Sarr. So, and he's done that other times.
Maybe it's just right players, wrong positions.
But again, I go back to my point. In a collective of a new manager, a new system being asked, is some of this a little bit inevitable? I don't know. Maybe I'm leaning too much into that. Are you concerned?
It's a transitional season, is what we've had
a lot of those
back on, is it?
Yeah, we've had a lot of those. I mean, but are you worried, Graeme, about Frank? Like, do you think he's not as good as maybe as we hoped? Like, he's clearly, because he had his issues at Brentford in the early days. Apparently, like, he went 10 games without winning the game. But like, do you have concerns? I know we're early in. Do you have concerns about him as a manager?
No, not. I don't think so. I'm not sure that he's doing much. I think he's trying to find I can see what happened, right? He's deconstructed what we were last year and what was perceived to be wrong with us last year, which was how we were like a colander at the back, right? We were just open. It was open season on us most matches. And he's tried to resolve that. And I feel like we are much more difficult to play against.
Sure.
Than we were. But in doing that, he's removed any kind of fluidity we've got going forwards as well. So I can understand that maybe you start with that as a foundation and you build from there, and it's just going to take a bit more time. And also, I think that we've got the most injuries in our attacking players, right? We've got Solanke out, we've got Maddison out, Kulusevski out, and now we've got Bergvall's out as well. So we've got and also that even when we've got all the players, we've got new players like Xavi and Kudus and Moani as well. So there's a lot of new players who.
What do you make of Moani? You were at the game, right? I don't get it. For me, we're either just completely not playing to his strengths or he's shit. Like,
I don't. I think it's the former. I think there's a player in there. I really think there's a player in there, but. In the same way, if we're not getting the ball into the final third, what's the point of having him on the pitch even? We might as well have had another defensive midfielder. If it felt like that would have been more useful in that game, we could have... It was just so... The amount of time we got... I'd have to look at how many times he touched the ball. I don't suppose it was very many.
That couldn't have been much.
And that's no slight on him.
No.
He's certainly running around, moving around the pitch a lot, trying to find space, making the runs, but we're not finding him that often.
So, Tom, you're still with us, I believe.
Yeah, I'm here.
Any concerns about Thomas Frank from your side, mate?
Maybe not tactically, but I think as a manager, like coming from a player point of view, maybe there's some concerns there. I mean, we saw Van de Ven and Spence walk off and not.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not really Frank's fault though. You're coming down from Ange, who everybody would have ran through a brick wall for.
Yeah.
Trying to, replicate that same level of belief in the manager and loyalty and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I mean, technically, I think, he just needs some more time, right? Like you said, Graeme, transitional season.
Yeah.
But, yeah, as a person, I don't know, maybe there's something there.
I also think that January is going to be I know that typically January is not a good window to buy players, but I think we really need to bolster again in January. I think we need that left-sided midfielder really badly for balance.
Semenyo.
And we probably
Don't
need
spend the money.
I still think we need another striker, and I'd be quite happy to swap Richarlison for another striker.
Well, but my view is two things to pick up on what Tom just said. I think that's a really fair, balanced viewpoint on what players were willing to do for Ange, because everything Ange didn't have tactically, and I think that's what Tom was saying, he had in spades in motivation.
Yeah.
And that's clear, right? That is absolutely clear to everyone to see. Like, he won us a bloody trophy, and he did it by motivation, the team talk, all of the things, the arm around the shoulder, and that was with a lot of players missing.
But it's interesting, I'm just reflecting on that, right? Because if he could get them up for a cup match, why couldn't he get them up for the league matches as well, if he was that good a motivator?
I don't think you can go.
It's a fair question, right?
It is an absolutely fair question. I think the problem we always had with him, and he was probably in many regards, Graeme, for me, his own worst enemy, in that he did a very good job of getting them up for the cup games, but in doing that, he told them that was the focus. He told them that that's what mattered. Now, if I'm at work and I'm being told by my boss, you've got these 5 meetings, but the 6th meeting is the one I really, really care about, and you've got to walk away from a deal with the 6th meeting, I'm in sales, my natural thing's going to gravitate towards that 6th meeting, isn't it?
Yeah,
right? And I think to a degree, that's what happened with the players. I don't think you can... When you can walk that back, once you've told them the focus is this, it's probably really difficult to then pivot and say, actually, no, guys, I don't know, I'm speculating. But back to what you just said in January, I've messaged you this just one-on-one, I think, and I'll put it in the room or for our viewers to comment and our listeners to comment. I don't see why we wouldn't go and get Ivan Toney on loan until the end of the season in January, sell Richarlison, and go big to get Semenyo. That's the 2 players for me. Now, you have a fundamental problem with Ivan Toney, not because he's not a bad player, Graeme, but you're concerned
because he's horrible shit. You mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't think he's a very nice person, frankly. I mean, given that he did something which he got caught out doing, and then the club 100% backed him and looked after him and brought him back in, and then he was openly talking about leaving to join other clubs. I'm like, well, it's a bit of loyalty there for you, isn't it? So it's just that. And then I think he was convinced when he was leaving Brentford that he was going to get a big money move to a big European, someone in the UK or somewhere in Europe. But I think he spoke to a couple of clubs I think he spoke to Arsenal. And after they met with him, they absolutely decided they hadn't wanted nothing to do with him. So I think he started to believe his own hype a little bit.
Well, he probably did, but also there's clearly a relationship there between Frank and him. And I think a loan is low risk. So you get him in for 6 months.
Could we still have him as a loan? I don't know, because we've got Moani as a loan as well. Isn't there a limit on the number of loans we can have?
I'd have to look. But what he does do, he helps the quota balance, right, of being English trained.
Well, yeah. So that's true. That would help. That.
And then I think you go and break the bank and get Semenyo. Now, I'm hearing from some other Spurs fans that I'm mates with here and stuff, but why would he leave Bournemouth? I'm like, come on, I don't want to be disrespectful here, but Tottenham, they're much, 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 much bigger. The thing that annoys me about it is Chelsea have been doing it for years. They won't be in Europe. They'll be finishing 10th in the league. They're going to buy and spend big money still and get the player because
they're going to buy a half of Brighton again.
But they spend the money. They just go and stump it up. And in January, I would love to see a break-the-bank bid to get Semenyo in the door. Like Kudus on the right, Semenyo on the left, both Ghanaian, both are mates. Just go make it happen, you know? That's what I want to happen. Whether it will or not remains to be seen, I suppose. But to your point, historically, not just us, how many players can you think of? I mean, Suarez was signed in a January window, wasn't he?
He was, yeah.
Torres, he went to Chelsea, but it didn't work.
Kulusevski was.
He was, and he did start well, yes.
And Bentancur, was it same window?
I think they both came in the same window. But historically, across the league...
It's rare, right? It is rare.
And it's always more expensive.
But then you got to look at if you have a high need for a player. I think that we spent so long chasing Savinho at Man City, we spent so long chasing him that in the end there wasn't time to find an equivalent good player. And then we just decided to kind of keep our powder dry until the next window. So I'm hoping we do. And also, the other thing to bear in mind, it is January, yes, but this is our new overlords, right? Our new ENIC overlords, it's the majority shareholder overlords, not the ENIC, not just call them ENIC anymore. This is their opportunity to really show that things are different, right? And what they said that they meant it. Which is that to really invest in the team.
There's a lot being said about this £100 million injection, and everyone's getting a bit caught up in the fact, well, that's not enough money. That's not it. That there was already money there. Like the 100 million is in addition to what they would have spent anyway. So
you wouldn't spend it all in this year anyway, right?
Correct.
Basically, it'd be spread over 3 years, and you'd probably pay a third of it now and a third over each of the subsequent years.
I don't get too caught up in that new investment because I think the money was somewhat always there and always has been there. It's just been poorly invested. My hope is that we act like we need to act now and go and solve the left-sided problem. And for me, it has to be Semenyo. Just go and get it done. Just go and get it done. We're a much bigger club than Bournemouth. And Bournemouth fans, if you're listening or watching, sorry, but we just are. And we're Champions League and just go and get it done. Just go and get it done.
So let's quick. We're conscious of the time. Let's look at the Copenhagen match.
Yeah, I was just going to get Tom to come in on that. Tom, I know you've been very gracious with your time and commuted, and you've got a commitment in a few minutes. The Copenhagen game, mate. Are you going to be watching that live, or what's your plan for it? And can you give us a viewpoint or a prediction on what you think may happen?
So yeah, I will try and watch that live. Won't be able to go to the bar. I don't really go to the midweeks. I just started a new job a couple months ago, so I don't think I've earned that respect to duck out just yet. But as far as the prediction, I mean, I think it's really going to depend on the lineup that Frank puts out there. I'd like to say 2-0, but I'm thinking 2-1 is more appropriate. I don't think they keep a clean sheet, but I do think that they come out with a little bit more passion and motivation.
I think the only good thing is I don't think Copenhagen travel well, especially to England. They've not got a good record, but maybe they smell blood in the water with us at the moment, and they know that the stadium can turn very quickly if things don't go well. So maybe and also in the same way that I say about the atmosphere on Saturday against Chelsea, you can imagine how many season ticket holders are going to sell their tickets, or at least wouldn't take up their ticket entitlement for the match tomorrow night as well, right? It's going to be the atmosphere could be poor, and it could be a really low attendance because again they've massively overpriced these group games. I think this one's about 65 quid or something.
It's just ridiculous. I remember when we did Wembley and we were in Champions League, and they actually made
3 for 90 quid or something. Wasn't
it?
Yeah,
it was like a broken clock right twice a day. It was like they actually got it right for once, and now they've gone the other way and completely stuffed it up. It's like just make it affordable, do something a bit innovative.
Was it the last home game was about 52,000 or something?
Yeah.
10,000 down on maximum capacity, which is rubbish, right?
It's almost
for
like
a Champions League match.
They don't think through these things. It's like
I don't think they can see past the dollar signs, to be honest.
Make it a tenner. Like, say, if you've got a season ticket, you can jump on, here's a link, you can buy another ticket for a tenner somewhere else.
But the problem is they see that as lost revenue.
It's just so frustrating. But as far as a prediction, Graeme, what do you reckon, mate? Do you reckon we're going to win?
Yeah, I think we'll win. Maybe 2-1. I think that's probably a fair prediction from Tom. I got a feeling. I wouldn't be surprised if we went 1 down.
Yeah,
and then the atmosphere got really, really hostile, but then we managed to come back and get a couple of goals. But I think we should have too much for them. But I thought that about a glimpse as well, and we were abjectly poor there as well, weren't we?
I can see it being
and Monaco. I think we were very good against Monaco. At least this is a home game.
Well, I say
we should have enough.
A home game. I don't know if that's a good thing, but
so maybe this is that we have a home win here, and it sets us up for another home game against Man U at the weekend.
I'm wondering if it's a draw against Copenhagen. And as far as my viewing experience goes, I'm going to be doing my damnedest to get back in time for kickoff. It's a 7 a.m. kickoff, but Wednesday mornings I meet a bunch of blokes and we go and work out and have a coffee. So I might just skip coffee. I should be back in time. I might be like 5 minutes late just to start the game. But I think a score draw. I do. I think they're I think they're going to make it difficult for us. And I just think even if we were playing somewhat well, we don't seem to do well when a team makes it difficult and we're not creating enough at the minute. Or it's where the things turn and we get a good result. A good pivot to the next home game after that, which is always difficult to do because you've got a game sandwich in between. But are you going, Graeme, on Saturday?
I'm not. I don't think. Joao was taking our tickets for that match.
Nice.
I'd hope to get the guy sits next to me, but his uncle's going for the first time. He picked that match of all the matches all season to make it his first game to come. This is what I'm saying about season ticket holders. So he's not been there all season, but he's going to be there for that match.
It's harder and harder, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. It's just the convenience of the ticket exchange makes it really easy for people to hold a season ticket, but not really attend that many of the matches. It's difficult.
Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen in that game.
No, I got a bad feeling about this one
because Man United owe us. They do from the Europa League final. They're actually playing a lot better.
Yeah, they had a draw, didn't they, against Forest?
Drew away to Forest, but they haven't lost. They're now in. They haven't lost in 5. I don't know if you follow the guy, but he's still not cut his hair.
Yeah, they've got to win 5 games in a row, haven't they?
I don't know what to say as far as a prediction. I think I'm just going to pivot to Tom. Tom, what do you reckon, mate, from the Man United game? Are you concerned?
Yeah, I think everyone should be concerned. I bet they've probably had this match circled on their calendar for a while, and they are playing a lot better now. There's consistency. Mbeumo, he's scoring in bunches. So, yeah, I would absolutely be concerned.
Yeah. I don't know if I can even put a prediction on it, knowing that we've got Copenhagen first and then,
Well, this is the thing. We're already carrying out such a lot of injuries, and if we pick up anything else tomorrow, and then will we have anyone back by Saturday? Any of the ones that are already out? So the guys who are carrying just knocks. Is it a normal knock like a normal footballer gets, or is it a Tottenham knock where they're out for 6 months?
Well, that's the thing. I feel like we're going to hear about Bergvall and he's going to have a brain tumour or something, and he's never going to play again. It's like this is how it goes.
It's like So it's a bit like Solanke. He was out with a knock, and even like Moani's dead leg, he was out for 6 weeks with.
But the thing is, right, we've got Copenhagen at home, Man United at home, then we've got the international break, then it's Arsenal away, and then PSG away. Like November, and then Fulham at home, which you wouldn't say is a gimme.
No, nothing at home's a gimme at the moment.
Tough games. And then you get into December and it just becomes mental because all the football that gets played.
Yeah.
Not a particularly happy camper at the moment, but let's hope that we can put in a performance against Copenhagen to at least lift spirit.
I think we'll lose the Man U game.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Well, but does Bergvall have to miss that Premier League rules because he went off on
I don't know whether if it's a number of days or whether it's a match. Because he's obviously not going to play tomorrow. I'm not sure is the honest answer.
Yeah, we shall see. Well, I didn't have a great deal else. Tom, thank you so much for joining us, mate. Again, you've been super gracious with your time. I know you were up against it and you had to get to a place for a deadline. So anything more from you, Tom, before... Tom, I don't know if you are still with us or if you could hear that. Looks like we may have lost Tom.
Feels like a good point to end.
Indeed. Well, nothing more from me other than, as always, come on you Spurs. I'll back out to you, Graeme, to close us out.
Yeah, thanks for everyone who's listened in. Please like and subscribe to the podcast to tickle the algorithm so we can get in front of more Spurs supporters. And do let us know in the comments what you think of our chances in the 2 coming matches. And to close us out, come on you Spurs.
Let me be the one that you turn to, someone you can rely on, closer each day, home and away.